Stefon Diggs bursts into tears as Cardi finally reveals why she left him. It was supposed to be just another quiet Sunday evening, the kind where Stefon Diggs could clear his mind after practice, unwind in silence, and replay game footage with a glass of whiskey in hand. But that night, nothing felt normal. The whispers online had grown louder, and Cardi B's name had started trending alongside his again, not because of music or football, but because she had announced a surprise live interview. The title of that interview sent a shiver down his spine. Cardi speaks, the real reason I walked away from Stefon Diggs. For months, the world had speculated. There were rumors about jealousy, distance, hidden texts, and even infidelity. But through it all, Stefon stayed silent. Deep down, he still believed there was something worth holding on to, that Cardi still loved him, even if fame had turned their world upside down. Now, as he sat on his couch staring at the glowing TV screen, his heart raced like it was game day. The studio lights flashed across Cardi's face, beautiful, calm, and yet undeniably hurt. The host leaned forward. Cardi, everyone wants to know, why did you really leave Stefon Diggs? She took a deep breath, her long nails tapping the table rhythmically. It wasn't about cheating, she began softly. It wasn't about the fame or the rumors. It was about peace, something I didn't realize I lost until I met him. Stefon leaned closer, barely breathing. I loved Stefon, Cardi continued, her voice trembling slightly. But being with him felt like trying to love someone who never stopped fighting the world. Every time I wanted to talk, his mind was on the game. Every time I needed him, he was chasing perfection. And the more I tried to hold him, the more he drifted away. A single tear rolled down Stefon's cheek. He had always told himself he was protecting her, providing stability, building a legacy, giving her something real. But hearing her words now, it hit him, he had never given her him. Cardi went on, her eyes glistening. There were nights I'd sit in his house, waiting for him to come home from practice. He'd walk in, barely say 2 words, and fall asleep on the couch. I used to leave notes, I miss you, I made dinner, call me. Sometimes I'd wake up and see he never read them. The host asked softly, so that's why you walked away? Cardi nodded. I realized love isn't about being with someone strong all the time. It's about feeling seen, heard, and with Stefon, I felt invisible. Stefon's head dropped into his hands. The camera didn't show it, but anyone who knew him could feel his pain. The man who had caught impossible touchdowns was now being tackled by regret. He whispered under his breath, I thought I was protecting you. Back in the studio, Cardi's tone softened. He's a good man. I'll never say otherwise. But sometimes, 2 people love each other and still can't make it work because they're fighting different battles. I wanted a home. He wanted a legacy. And I just couldn't keep waiting for him to choose me. The clip instantly went viral. Fans flooded social media, some blaming Stefon, others praising Cardi for her honesty. But for Stefon, it wasn't about public opinion anymore. It was personal. He turned off the TV and stared at the quiet room, the same one where Cardi used to dance barefoot, where her laughter once echoed through the halls. Now, all that remained was silence and memories that refused to fade. His phone buzzed with messages from friends, teammates, even his brother Trayvon, who simply texted, "You okay, bro?" But he couldn't reply. He opened his notes app instead, the one where he used to jot down plays and post-game reflections, and began typing something he'd never dared to say out loud. I should have told you I was scared. Scared to lose focus, scared to lose you. I didn't realize I was already losing you the whole time. The next morning, social media exploded again. Stefon posted a single story on Instagram, a photo of him and Cardi, smiling at a charity event months before their breakup. The caption read, I never stopped loving you. I just didn't know how to show it. Cardi saw it within minutes. Her heart tightened, not with anger, but with a bittersweet ache. She whispered to herself, that's the Stefon I fell for. Later that week, the two crossed paths unexpectedly at an award event in Los Angeles. Cameras flashed as they exchanged a quiet, emotional hug backstage. No words, no drama, just a silent moment between two souls who had loved deeply, lost painfully, and finally understood each other. When reporters asked if they were getting back together, Cardi smiled faintly and said, "Some love stories don't need an ending, they just need peace." That night, Stefon sat in his hotel room, replaying her words. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel angry or broken, just grateful. Grateful for the woman who taught him that love isn't a trophy you win, it's a feeling you have to nurture. And as the lights of the city glowed below his window, he whispered, maybe one day, when the noise fades, she'll find her way back. The world may have seen a star athlete in tears and a global superstar bearing her heart, but beneath all the headlines was something simpler, two people who had loved each other fiercely and finally found the courage to let that truth live on, even if they couldn't. And somewhere in that silence, both Stefon Diggs and Cardi B found what they'd been missing all along: closure, peace, and a love that would never really fade, only evolve. Title: Stefon Diggs bursts into tears as Cardi B finally reveals why she left him. The stadium lights of Buffalo had long dimmed, but Stefon Diggs sat alone in the locker room that night, still in his practice gear, his hands trembling as he scrolled through his phone. The hum of silence filled the air, no teammates, no cameras, no cheering crowd, just him and the ghost of what he had lost. It had been months since Cardi B had walked out of his life. The breakup had gone public in the most dramatic way possible, a quiet unfollow, a cryptic tweet, and a tearful live stream where she'd said, "Sometimes love ain't enough." But what nobody knew was why. The world speculated endlessly, cheating rumors, career clashes, family drama, but Cardi had kept her silence. Until now. The message that broke him. That evening, as Stefon packed his duffel bag, a notification popped up: Cardi B goes live. He hesitated. His heart raced. For weeks, he'd avoided her social media, trying to numb himself with the chaos of the NFL season. But something about this live, something in the caption, "My Truth Tonight," made him pause. He opened it. There she was, Cardi, not glammed up, not filtered, not fierce like the world knew her. Just a woman in tears, her voice shaking. "People think I left 'cause I didn't love him," she began softly. "But that's the furthest thing from the truth. I loved that man. Maybe too much." Stefon froze. Every word pierced him like a dagger. He could feel the tears welling in his eyes before she even said the rest. "I left because I was losing myself. I was trying to be everything for him, the hype woman, the healer, the peace after his storm. But somewhere in there, I forgot who Cardi was." The locker room blurred. He dropped his head into his hands, his chest heaving. He remembered the fights, the nights when he'd come home after tough losses, distant and cold. The way she tried to cheer him up, only to get caught in the storm of his frustration. She continued. He was hurting. I could see it in his eyes. Football was eating him alive, and every time I tried to pull him out, I ended up drowning with him. Stefon's breath caught. He knew exactly what she meant. The pressure, the media, the constant criticism, he'd taken it all home. And she'd stayed through it, smiling through interviews, defending him when people called him difficult, holding him when the cameras stopped rolling. Flashback, the night everything fell apart. It was the night after the playoff loss. Stefon had sat on the edge of the hotel bed, silent, his eyes fixed on the floor. Cardi had walked in quietly, wearing his jersey. She tried to lighten the mood. "Baby, it's just one game. You still the man, you know that." He didn't respond. "Talk to me, Steph." He snapped. "You don't get it. You don't understand what this means." The silence that followed was the sound of something breaking, not just between them, but inside both of them. She packed a bag. That night, quietly crying as he stared at the wall. He didn't stop her. He thought she'd come back. But she never did. Cardi's revelation. Back on the live stream, Cardi wiped her tears. When you love someone, sometimes you gotta let them go to find themselves. I left because I wanted him to heal, without me trying to fix everything. I didn't want us to turn into hate. Stefon's tears fell freely now. He leaned back against the locker, staring at the ceiling, his heart shattering in silence. If you're watching this, Steph, she said softly, I never stopped loving you. I just stopped breaking myself to prove it. For a long moment, Stefon couldn't breathe. It was as if every emotion he'd buried under touchdowns and training drills erupted at once. The tears came hard, uncontrollable. His chest burned. He let out a guttural sob that echoed through the empty locker room. He whispered to himself, I never wanted you to feel that way. I just didn't know how to show it. The call that never happened. Later that night, he drafted a message. I saw you're live. You're right. I wasn't ready. But I never stopped loving you either. He hovered over the send button, his thumb shaking. He wanted to call, to tell her everything he'd never said, how her laughter had been his peace, how her patience had kept him grounded, how every crowd felt empty without her in the stands. But he didn't send it. Because deep down, he understood. Sometimes love doesn't need a reunion, just respect, closure, and quiet truth. A year later. Months passed. Stefon returned to the field a changed man, more focused, more grounded. He rarely spoke about his personal life, but his teammates noticed something new in him, a calmness. One post-game interview, when a reporter asked about the toughest loss he's ever had, he smiled faintly and said, sometimes, the hardest losses aren't on the field. Somewhere across the country, Cardi saw that clip. She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. Epilogue, the song. Weeks later, Cardi dropped a surprise track titled Love on the 50-Yard Line. The lyrics were raw, emotional, full of regret and healing. Fans instantly speculated it was about Stefon. The final verse said it all. You taught me pain, but you taught me grace. Now I smile when I see your face. I walked away, but I still pray that you find peace someday. Stefon listened in his car, gripping the steering wheel, tears flowing again, not from sadness, but gratitude. For love. For lessons. For letting go. As the song faded, he whispered, thank you, Cardi. For everything. And for the first time in a long time, he smiled. Ions resurface.
도시가 보이곤 해. 그 도시에는 또 다른 내가 하늘에 떠가는 비행기를 올려다보고 있겠지. 난 하늘을 쳐다보고 있겠지. 묘한 짜릿함 그 속에 머물다 보면 어느새 제주